subscribing, and leaving comments.
Mr. Robert W. Morgan, America's foremost expert on the legendary book Bigfoot, and the author of Bigfoot Pocket Manual, All You Ever Wanted to Know, But You Didn't Want to Ask. Thank you very much for being here, sir. Nice one. Robert, Bigfoot, okay? Bigfoot.
Yes.
The big, hairy thing.
Yes.
Guy.
Yes.
Whatever he is.
Yes.
There's really a Bigfoot?
There's multiple. There's many of them, yes.
Well, where did you saw Bigfoot in Cleveland?
No. That's what I got for taking a reporter from New York City for the Wall Street Journal. I had the audacity to take him in the middle of a cornfield in the middle of the night. I heard something in the woods and I left him there. And when I got back, that was his revenge.
Riding Bigfoot in Cleveland, right? Well, I mean, now this has been reported and reported and reported, yet no one has seen anything that they can call tangible evidence. I mean, we've seen these photos that look like, you know, some of the people in this crew on a Friday and Saturday night walking through the woods. We've seen, everybody in the crew is mad at me. But, you know, some of these things just don't look real. Why should we believe that there's really a Bigfoot?
Well, first of all, most of the reported sightings that I get are indeed either a mistake or they're a fabrication. However, I've seen it on 3 separate occasions myself. And we have accumulated a tremendous amount of hard evidence. We can't, unfortunately, release it yet because if we do, a lot of people can go out and manufacture these things.
To go out and manufacture the evidence?
That's right. And right now, we're already about 6 steps ahead of the crowd. And we've been able to come in very close contact with groups of Bigfoot. We call them families.
Do they talk? These Bigfoot? I saw something in your literature that says they communicate. They
yes.
can write in some sort of a
well,
basic.
And not exactly write. They leave a type of a hieroglyphic. It actually be a petroglyphic. They leave this behind, and we've been able to find out how they mark their trails and things like this. These are nothing but prehistoric people. That's all they are.
You really think they're people? They're real prehistoric people?
They can't be an ape. If they're an ape, then they can't have a helix, which is the big toe. They can't walk erect. They can't have buttocks. All of these things they can't be. We have to redefine science if we're going to call them an ape. Okay. So that leaves only one thing, and that's people.
Yes, sir, you had a question.
I was curious if I'm walking around somewhere, and where would I logically find a Bigfoot? A forest area, grocery store?
Grocery store. Okay.
I mean, what is the typical habitat for Bigfoot?
Well, my original study area was Mount St. Helens area, between Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, Mount Adams, and Mount Hood. Okay? You go into the more primitive areas of America, and believe me, there are. And if anyone doesn't believe it, just put a pack on their back and come with me.
Put a pack on our back and
sure.
Go with you, and we will find a Bigfoot?
You'll have some experiences you'll never forget.
I can imagine, but I'm talking about finding Bigfoot.
Oh, forgot about that, yeah.
You said they communicate?
Yes, they do.
How?
They communicate by imitating bird whistles, bird calls, animal calls, and also they have a type of spoken language. Now, they can't say supercilious or something like this, but according to the Indian people that I work with, they do have a language in that when they say something, the others will respond. There is an intelligence response.
Do you think they're dangerous? Do you think, I mean, is Bigfoot going out looking to come over and take over our society?
No, they've been around before we were around. This is probably a remnant of Gigantopithecus.
Of what?
Gigantopithecus.
Gigantopithecus.
Yes, this is a large ape-type creature that lived in South China. They were quite large. They were an anthropological fact.
That's what I was going to ask, how long he's been around, because I remember when I was 6 years old, they spotted him in southern Iowa. And I mean, I was scared to go out of the house. So,
Yeah.
have you ever spotted any in southern Iowa? We lived in Keokuk, Iowa.
No,
and there was sightings all over Iowa.
Well, wait,
I have had sightings in Iowa, but I'll tell you the biggest surprise to me. I've always done most of my work in the Florida Everglades and in Mount St. Helens area of Washington before it blew up. It's up in the stratosphere right now. But I was en route to Russia because we were doing some work with the Russians in the Caucasus Mountains. We were preparing a joint expedition between the United States and the Soviets. And I stopped off in Ohio at my publishers. I was amazed. In eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania, and you have to look at Indian legends before you can really put your finger on it.
Yes, sir.
Well, I got to say, part of me believes in a Bigfoot since I was young, but I'm wondering if they live out in the forest, no other animals tries to attack them, or where do they sleep at night?
They're similar to the gorilla insofar as they're semi-nomadic. They live in small family units. What do they eat? They eat about the same thing that Ursus americanus, the black bear, would eat. They have an enzyme in their stomach that we have lost. You see, we have fire because we need it in order to break down certain things in food before we're able to eat it. We have fire because we have to stay warm because of our body temperatures. These people are perfectly adapted to Earth. They're not like you and I. They have an enzyme in their stomach that they can eat raw greeneries and digest them. And we can't. We have to cook them.
Robert, you sound as if you've, hung out with Bigfoot a little bit, gone over his house on Saturday night.
Yeah.
I mean, and I always say that, and I'm not just joking, but you sound like there's so much information that you have, yet no one has ever seen one. We do have some pictures. Why don't we run some pictures up so people can take a look at them? You explain what we're looking at.
There's been hundreds of people that have seen them, but now there's a track. This was 161 tracks taken in a line. It was the longest string of tracks ever found in North America that were authenticated by a comparative anatomist, Dr. Robert Krantz. And I'll tell you what, you kneel down next to tracks like that over varying terrain, and believe me, you start to wonder, and you ask yourself the reasons why.
Okay, but these are just tracks. These are big footprints of a Bigfoot. I mean, some of these fellows in this audience are big enough that I think their feet could leave.
Not 18 inches long. I don't think so. No. Not 18 inches long. I mean, these are like this. These are good-sized people. Yes, ma'am.
I'm a Choctaw Indian registered, and I've heard a lot of history about it, and I was wondering if you had any history of anything about it.
I'm so glad you asked that. I have worked mostly with the Amerindian people in America, the Apache. I've worked with the Miccosukee in the Everglades. Most of my people that I work with now are American Indians. And you'll notice that in all the different tribes, not one Indian ever calls them a monster. The name translates to wild people, the Sasquatch, the Omaha, the Yamprico, as the Apache call them. Only the white man calls it a monster.
Robert, let's take a look at some more pictures. We have a few of them. Run them all up. Let's see all these pictures that we have.
These were taken by Roger Patterson in 1967.
Now, this is the one I think is the most famous photo anyone's ever seen.
Yes.
This looks like, my brother in a monkey suit running back behind my house.
Well, your brother's, you better talk with your brother because this is a female with large breasts.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to tell your brother.
And I'm going to get a phone call here probably as soon as this show. All right.
Yes.
But those photos right there were taken when?
They were taken in Bluff Creek in Northern California in 1967. I met Roger just before he passed away. He died of cancer. And I'll tell you, I came face to face with what I had reported was a gorilla in the state of Washington in 1957. And what Roger Patterson took pictures of is what I saw. But I reported a large gorilla loose because at that time I had nothing to make an equation with, Do they exist? Yes, they do. Okay. And it's sad because it's a sad statement on our scientific community that because it does, in a sense, attack the basis of the Judeo-Christian society, that something like this could exist without our permission. Because if they do exist, that means that we existed much more than 6,000 years ago. And I think there's your basis why a lot of the scientific community is not able to stick their neck out.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, they've been cited so many times. How come there have never been any video footage or any really clear pictures? If so many people have seen him, how come that is not possible?
Well, there's not too many people out there in the woods right now. For instance, hunters see them a lot. Hunters going out, they don't carry cameras.
They don't carry dart guns either to shoot one and...
That's right. And I'll tell you, there's a danger because they don't travel alone. If people do shoot them and they turn out to be a hominid and not an animal, then under our Constitution, they may end up having civil rights. Because if their chromosome count and their DNA is similar to Homo sapien, which is what we are, and you kill one or you put one in a cage, under our Constitution, you may have a problem, bigger than what you'd ever expect.
So Bigfoot has rights under the U.S. Constitution also?
Until we make sure that he's not an animal. If he's an animal, then that's something different. And even then, right now, why kill them? Why go out and murder them? I'm completely against any violence against them whatsoever.
If you're enjoying all this rare and unique content, please show your support by subscribing and leaving comments.